Attention gamers. As someone who only invests in boring index funds, avoids crypto like the plague, never books flights on Spirit Airlines and may or may not be allowed to ever enter my local casino again, I am against the risk that comes with gambling, which translates to League of Legends, as I am a firm believer that crit is shit and building on hit is how you get enemies to quit, which is why I'm not exactly surprised to see that the highest win rate champs and builds are revolving around these on hit items, and today my goal is to prove just how strong they are by showing how a hard stuck pleb can still hard carry games with how strong these builds are. The only issue is I never play Kog'Maw or any ADC champs anymore, which makes a free app like Professor the peanut butter to my dreams of climbing jelly in this scenario. You see, as I lock in a champ, it tells me the best runes for the situation that I can import straight into my client. As my team is picking their champs, it shows where we might be weak, to which I can use all the information they give me to gaslight our top into thinking he's a god.
Bingo! Ho ho ho!
In loading screen it gives me a full scouting report of all 10 players, so when I see they have a KL ADC, who is on a hot streak with it, I'm a bit concerned, but seeing as their support is autofilled and mine is aggressive, I can be confident that Lantern Larry will always be dead, and this hot streak Kale will be more alone than a young EDP 445 in a cupcake shop, so that won't be an issue. I was confident in the Rise pick that I believed my top into until I saw that the enemy was a one-trick pony Tentacle Tina, and a 61% win rate over 70 games was definitely something to be concerned with. Anyways, there's tons of other helpful features like reminders that I'm warding less than most people in my rank, and when the autofilled idiot does this, I can time when his flash will be back up. At the end of the game you can use Riot's post-game screen to see that only the on-hit builds did damage, or you can get a full detailed end-game write-up with pretty graphs and charts that you can analyze to become a better player, and all of this is totally free if you use my link in the description to get Professor today. Alright, so getting into abusing the highest win rate champ to make up for the fact that I somehow managed to get hit by missed hooks, we're up against a bot lane comp that is their picture in the dictionary next to the word oppression, which is typically a not very fun experience for anyone against them, but they seem to have forgotten about the most famous reindeer of all, so I play around the times that I can attach the sniper scope to my spitballs, and this early strategy was going pretty well, as every creep score this Disney on Ice Draven went after came with enough uninvited saliva to make him reconsider sticking around to throw anything at me. This resulted in an early game that was so uneventful it could have been streamed on the LCS Summer Split Twitch channel, minus the fact that I wasn't exactly Old MacDonald in the farm department, but eventually the piece ended when Lantern Larry lassoed a chick who invited him for a quick surf before passing away, cause of death negligent juggling, so then I punished the crime the way I saw fit before kiting back. Kanye decided to sign a lease for Jax's asshole, but it was short-lived when the background checks revealed his Pornhub search history, so he got evicted and then executed via Caterpillar Spit, leaving just me and cum-covered Thresh in an all-out brawl to the finish, him whipping me with a steel chain and me regurgitating the pizza rolls I ate for lunch on him, until one strategy proved to be superior and the victor took his lap in front of the little zealous red-robed wizard babies chasing him. We heard a rumor that more plates equal more dates, but turns out that's just a YouTube channel around steroids or something, as we started to notice a repeating pattern. No matter what we were doing, it seemed this wall-hacking turd snorter of a jungler was always in our lane. Our own backyard was filled with so many prepubescent idiots at all time you'd think they were remaking the movie Project X, and every time I took a fiver in river to slip out a quick piss, he was there. Sure, I started the game on a killing streak, but I was unable to complete my comprehensive embarrassment of this Tyler 1 fanboy, because it was always a matter of guess who's back, and the answer was never Slim Shady, and while a real boy would ward sit back, farm and wait it out, I chose to die spitting and then do a little corpse combustion run while wondering what was happening elsewhere on the map to allow for their jungler to practically lane down here. I'd like to introduce you to the supposed humans that have graced me with their presence, and bear with me as my team has the red health bars in this replay, because Riot is a small company that doesn't have the manpower to make their replay system not shit. Anyways, you can see my top autopilot Annie decide that level 3 is definitely a safe time to turn on self-driving around a tier 1 turret, and 2 little lasers makes her a first blood loser. Then she came back to lane, deciding to just bathe in bad decisions, which I guess could have been smart considering Riot's new champions are designed with over 200 years of collective development experience, but this strategy falls apart when she fails the round of league trivia that asked, "What do champions unlock at level 6? She was clearly stumped by the question while simultaneously wondering why lanky Lucifer over here randomly started floating, but she figured she would just stick around, maybe pick a fist fight with floating Yao Ming and hope the answer would hit her soon. At this point she already was 2 levels down with no intervention from any third party, but that was all about to change when the Tweedledee to her Tweedledum as shit came to introduce himself to the camera. Someone out there would call this a gank, but the better description would be the outcome of handing laptops out to a few geriatric patients at a blind ward and telling them to just push buttons, and thus I was starting to see why their jungler had no reason to go top. He did go mid at times, but the visits were quick as my ever so reliant magic muff sucker mid seemed to love getting ganked, as he would just small talk about his love for magic, saying his favorite movie was Now You See Me, Now You Don't. The enemy floating Aladdin had a free lane, but when he did leave it he found wild brain dead briars that would appear, thinking this was going to be the time they don't do something stupid. And you know what they say about dying to a gank the same exact way you died 2 minutes before. Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, I'm absolutely someone that gets autofilled mid on your team in solo queue promos, so he got suppressed and laid to rest yet again. Meanwhile my top laner decided that being 3 levels down meant the perfect opportunity to bet all in by typing in her own fountain into the navigation bar and then toggling self-driving on before seemingly tabbing out and continuing to shop for drool bins on Amazon. When the enemy top and jungler were visiting my lanes uninvited, she would babysit the Briar by giving her a case of herpes and watching her run away. The thing here is that all that half-health 3 years younger dumb shit had to do was keep running and she was out, but instead she sought to prove one more time that room temperature IQs do exist and that they can be found playing Briar top. So those were the solo laners that Riot decided I was deserving of receiving on this fine afternoon, and when the 2 of them teamed up together it was always going to be a worthwhile experience for an enemy to attend, and that should set the stage for the amount of hard carrying I would need to do in order to prove that on hit is the shit in the current meta. Luckily Thresh was an absolute bro at hitting missed hooks, which would open me up to identify as a COVID super spreader, and the man just didn't have enough fat on his bones to survive such a government shutting down worthy virus. As I then regrouped in the tall grass and waited for Elsa from Arendelle's Man Schlong Fantasy to play catch with himself a little too close to the danger zone, which meant a shutdown for this chubby worm. We then secured an easy first tower, and I proved that occasionally missed hooks do manage to not always hit me, so things were still going well under my control. We went mid trying to salvage the shit fest, but like a true League of Legends player I was too distracted thinking of all the ways to flame my enemies for their mistakes to realize I was about to make one myself, so all I could do was spit while I was ahead before shitting the bed in a 1-for-1 trade of the old shutdowns. The enemy bot lane was still playing more cocky than a show horse on Viagra as Draven clicked on what he didn't realize would be the last lantern he ever clicked on before getting hit with a Dubai amount of water and vomited on until he died. Then it was time for team fights, and considering my team had half the kills of their team, and by my team I mean mainly just me, so I knew that during fights I would have more of a target on me than someone dressing up as a famous retailer store for Halloween, so I appropriately used my flash aggressively and then had to play the rest of the fight like a state-certified vagina so that I didn't get insta-gibbed. I stayed with the pack and call me a Jewish publishing company because I really robbed Kanye, and then we regrouped mid. The plan was to save the stupid ass stragglers and then disengage, survive to fight another day, but like his fate this mid's brain cells were also apparently twisted, so he just zombie walked straight back into the danger I just saved him from and died. I was now getting ready for my first face-to-face encounter with the demonic monstrosity that my top lane Briar single-handedly funded for the last 25 minutes, and I thought my regurgitated stomach acid was doing the trick until I went melee mode, fucked around and found out. From this point on I vowed to hike my try-hard undies so far up my asshole I could practically taste the Belle Delphine bathwater I soaked them in before putting them on, as no wall-hacking lane camping reaper was going to escape the wrath of my sloppy blobber. I had to be aggressive because my front line was about as intelligent as a bucket of lost and found Legos, and I knew that any small hiccups would cost me my summoner spells and I would have to space like I was a bar between 2 alt keys on a keyboard, playing it safe instead of greeting for kills, knowing that I would have to be a patient Rudolph the snot-rocketing reindeer if I were to have any hopes at hard carrying the bonobo apes that were known as my team solo laners, and the strategy was starting to work. Luckily my Nami was the one person on my team who was indeed smarter than a 5th grader, and I was going to regurgitate so much stomach acid onto every shitter she managed to carbonate. When objectives were up we were always there to ensure that no three-headed boner in the river would be killed without us, and all of a sudden my movement had me playing like I was at least an emerald level intermediate bot as all these fed enemies were dropping their jaw straps on the ground. It was at this point where I specifically want to call out that my Twisted Fate was 0-8. With 2 assists, as in he literally has done jack shit piss squiddly squat, absolutely zero level of contribution to the effort so far in this match. And I say that because when he was in black and white timeout we were debating if we can 4v5 contest Dragon, and while all logic would point toward us giving up this objective and living to fight another day, our Briar has proven time and time again that logic does not apply to her, so I throw a big league bubblicious whole fucking roll of gum in my mouth so that the saliva is just never ending, and I spit like I've never spit before, racking up the double, then the triple, then the quadra. All of a sudden the tides were turned and my hard carrying ass was about to secure the penta. The freest penta I've ever seen, until guess who the hell decided this would be the perfect time for him to get his first kill ever in League of Legends. The Twisted Fate, who had done nothing up till this point but suck the air out of his own asshole straight copium style, getting high on the free ride he was given. So we pressed on, in a game where I was rocking the hardest KDA of my life while our team was still miraculously behind in the kill count because of the inbred donkeys and their performance in solo lanes. I am absolutely using this as evidence that on hit is definitely the shit, and a good support makes the medicine go down. Go spit on my subscribe button. Rav out.